Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Positive Views production with Paul and Colin. We're just reflecting on a few geoglobal issues, especially the conflict in Ukraine. Why it has come about, the reasons it has come about, and who benefits from this conflict. Now, there are precedents to the Ukrainian conflict, which was whereby Russia had to annex the Crimea because NATO wanted Ukraine to have get rid of the Russian submarine and basically base there. This would have basically denied Russia access to the Mediterranean through the Black Sea. And therefore Russia would not be able to actually support its ally in the Levant. In general, the Levant, you would say, we're dealing with Syria and whichever ally Russia has there. So Russia had to basically make a move, and they made a very important strategic move in terms of they annexed Ukraine. So the West knew the feelings of Russia and how Russia would react if they decided that Ukraine would be able to become a member of NATO and also the EU, because Russia would not support a country next door to them to have nuclear weapons and be able, you say, theater nuclear weapons, which they could launch at any time and Russia could not respond. So these were the challenges and the concern that Russia had. Now, rather than the West say, look, let's just say to Ukraine will not be able to join NATO. They refuse, right? But I do believe that there is actually a greater deception that's played on the population, because I believe that Russia, or the leadership of Russia, is in cahoots with the leaders of the West. You know, the billionaires, the people who have their investment in things like shale gas, which I'll go into, and the banks, yeah? All these people want to make a lot of money. Everyone knows that whenever there is a conflict, and especially in this scale, that the price of fuel, especially Brent crude, would rise. You know what I mean? Oil prices, gas prices, yeah, on the market. Because I don't know why it rise, because they're going to tell you, well, it's scarcity, but it's the same oil. The only reason why it's risen is because people want to make more money off the general population. Well, the rich want to fleece the poor a little bit more. And unfortunately, the governments that we have are in cahoots. They're in bed with them. They're all the same people. They get their little payoff. Yeah, I mean, so they do not see the need to govern, because government are there to pass laws that would stop any price rises. Totally. That's what a government does. The Conservative government, and that includes the Labour government, they're all the same thing. They support the rich and all that they do to control, manipulate, and dominate the poor. And especially in their pockets. I mean, price rises have now gone to like over 200% in some cases. 100% in some, and in some 50. But we've been told that, well, it's an 18% rises and inflation's going to go to maybe 13%. Now, my concerns are, why are we paying 3 times and more for our utilities, especially gas and electricity? And who is making all that money? Where is the money going? who has it, and why is the public paying, and paying several times. We pay with our wages, we pay with our taxes, we pay with many different taxes, value-added taxes, with these kind of rubbish. But this is what has happened, because you decide the rich has basically cornered the market. They've completely manipulated everything in their favor. And this is the problem. So we'll go back now to Ukraine and why this thing could have easily been avoided. Everyone knew Russia was building up their arms. It was there every day, so it was predictable that at some point it was going to have to be used. And when arms are used, then there's a lot of money being made for the military-industrial complex across, well, mainly in the West. You know what I mean? Lockheed Martin, all these, the Carlyle Group, all these people make a lot of money. Boeing, you know what I mean, out of selling arms. Now, the reason why arms are made is people don't make arms just to sit on the shelf. They're made to be used. And when they're used, they kill people. But no one really cares, these people, about the lives that their weapons destroy. They only care about the profit that it makes. Yeah, I mean, and they'll tell you that, yes, it's the shareholders, and no, but the shareholders, no, it's the people who own major share that really benefits. You call them Class A shares. Yeah. And it's also a way of controlling Russia's oil output, in terms of, if you limit it, then you can actually raise the prices of oil and gas. So the first thing that happened was, before this Ukrainian crisis started, America has decided that it wanted to sell its old shale gas that the banks have basically more or less run themselves into the ground, nearly bankrupt themselves by investing in shale gas. Shale gas, right, is what you'd have to do to get shale gas to come to Europe. There's a process whereby you'd have to then compress the gas into a liquid. Then you'd have to put it into tanks and send it to Europe in ships. Now, the price, you know what I mean, shale gas is worthless if the prices of crude and gas isn't high. If the price is low, no one's going to buy it. It costs too much to produce. Now, America has got loads of this sitting down, right? Because they've made a lot of shale gas, right? Have loads in tank storage. They need to sell it. So the first thing they did was decided to close Nord Stream 2, which would have been giving gas to Europe. So the prices would never have gone up, because you've got Nord Stream 1, which runs through Ukraine. Nord Stream 2 does not run through Ukraine, right? So that would have basically keep the prices low. But the West, America per se, decided to close Nord Stream 2. By closing Nord Stream 2, then, gas prices are now through the roof. But my question, I go back to, who is making the money? Why do we have what you'd call a government that does not govern? We've elected some pirates, some absolute hypocrites, robbers and thieves. Whether they like it or not, that's what they're doing. Because in any instant, the government could pass laws that prohibit the multinationals from profiting off the backs of poor working class people. This is a disgrace to any form of democracy and to any sense of justice and fairness. So this is what we've got due to the Ukrainian crisis. So it's like they've used it, right? So America have used it to sell weapons, to try and sell its shale gas. And then the impact on our food, basic commodities, oil, whether it's vegetable, whether it's rapeseed, whether it's sunflower, wheat. The prices no longer reflect what is affordable to people. So I believe that it is important and necessary for the general population, especially those who do not see themselves as supremacists, to stand up to this government and any government, wherever they may be on this planet, and said, enough is enough. We're not going to take this any longer. You have been robbing us. You have been unjust, hypocritical, unfair, and oppressive in all your policies and actions towards the population. And that's a fact. Another thing we have to look at is, in case of, what does NATO want by basically ring fencing Russia? For what reason? I mean, they've expanded into Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, and the rest of the Baltic states, Latvia, Estonia, Turkey. So you've basically ring-fenced Russia. But Russia is now a buffer to your real threat. And the real threat to our Western government is China. Because, once again, the supremacists in these countries will not allow, at no point, someone with even a taint of color to control the ultimate leadership of the planet. So the intention is to break up Russia and have states whereby NATO can actually put their nuclear weapons to basically ring fence China. That is the total objective of all this conflict, is to control China. It's to stop the Belt and Road. I mean, so one knows these strategies. People need to understand that we need a loving, respectful, and a world that benefits us all. This can be achieved through people being just and honest to each other and to themselves, and by getting rid of these greedy people who are eating too much and wasting too much and basically lining their pockets relentlessly at the expense of the general population. I mean, if you look at for our country and say the health service is being totally underfunded. Education, there's a full inequality. And it is across the world for all poor people. So we need to seriously unite one with the other, like sisters and brothers, and challenge what is now, the reality of today's world, the reality that's been created by greedy, selfish, immoral, and conscienceless people who doesn't deserve the word of calling them humans, because they're inhuman, heartless, wicked, evil, greedy, murderous people. And the only way we're going to rid ourselves of them is for the people to take to the streets non-violently to voice our concerns, our fear, and demand action, and not only demand, but will action, and let there be action. And without action, then the people would have to think we need to get rid of this government, any one of them. And we know what they're going to want to do. They're going to want to bring the armies on the streets. Because one thing I'd say to people, now, believe you me in this, no country in this world or on this planet fears an external threat. The fear of any country, the elite and those that govern, is their internal population. That's why they surveil, spy on, and even murder us. Take for instance, there is a man that I admire greatly during the Iraq War who basically spoke out. UN weapons instructor Dr. David Kelly. Dr. David Kelly stated that there was no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And these people hounded the poor man and actually murdered him. Yes, murder this man for speaking the truth. And in the end, what did we find out? There was no weapons of mass destruction. None whatsoever. Yes, but by then, the Iraqi oil was in the hands of the Western oil companies. Yes. So this was the reason. We have to realize how heartless these people are. I remember an instance when U.S. not Secretary of State, yes, Secretary of State, the woman, the old Haggard's past, called Madeleine Albright, yes. And I feel no way to say that, because I remember Madeleine Albright being asked a simple question, yeah. And the question was, Mrs. Albright, do you believe that it is justified and right for killing 500 to 500,000 Iraqi children? Yeah, that is what, 500,000. Yeah. Mrs. Albright's reply was, yes, I believe that it was worth it. Now, how can you justify killing other people's children, 500,000? Now I say, for that woman, I hope that the worms eat her forever and feel no way about it. Because justice is justice and right is right. Now I know it wasn't Mrs. Albright all in all. I know that it was the people behind her, and they deserve worse. But you see, most people say the Creator never sleeps, right? Most people believe in God. I say this, the Almighty powers, yes, will actually seek recompense for these actions. I mean, look at America. I mean, this is a country that parades itself around the world about democracy and morality. How hypocritical for these people, these enslavers, murderers, robbers, thieves, to basically look and dare tell us about morality. Tell us about their exceptionality. How can you be exceptional? Exceptional at what? You see, so all these inconsistencies that these people parade as, these are people who have a country that says, oh yes, all men are created equal, while the founder of the country was having slaves in the backyard. Yes, whether it was Washington or any one of them, right? So we understand these are people who was taken in when they were starving by a people and fed, and then they return the people in kind, like they murdered them and stole their land. So how can you then say you've got any moral or you've got any stance? Behave yourself, right? Accept what you are, a evil force on the planet. And be honest. And if you're honest to yourself, then we can all make a better planet. Right? All you rich people, because you normal Americans are very nice people. You normal British, you normal everywhere are very nice. It's the people that run the society. Their greed and their selfishness that's destroying everything, from resources to the ecology of the planet, to even the whole economy. And therein lies the, what would you say, the problems that we all face by having these people forever controlling power, because their power has been there forever, from the dawn of time. We need now to say enough is enough. You cannot go around engineering wars to make profit. You cannot go around burning down the rainforest for gold. I mean, you've done enough robbery, man. You've done enough enslavement, enough colonization, enough torture, enough murder. I mean, it's like a simple thing, right? I digress, but I want to, right? I was saying to someone, listen, it would snow in hell before these people allow Richie Sunak to be leader of the Conservative Party or be the Prime Minister of this country. This is a fact, right? And no matter how anyone wants to deny this, this is the living truth. And if anyone wants to be truthful, let us face these things. Because we are still a racist country. By far. And the racism does not come from your ordinary people, which is the sadness. It seeps down from the top, the very pinnacle of the society. These are the people with the wicked heart, the superiority that's embedded in them. They actually use it on the population of this country when they send them out into Australia and Canada. Yes, these things happen. And I think we need to look at every single aspect of their control, their domination, their propaganda, their manipulation. Yes, because this is what they do through the media. Whether it's a newspaper, whether it's a radio, whether it's television. All these things are controlled. The information that we're given. And the forms of power which is most insidious that they've got on us, it's a thing called influence. The influence that they hold over the public. Look at the Ukrainian war thing. They've got Russia as this demon. They make out this and everything about Ukraine. Why? When this thing could have been avoided. And there'd be no price rises, no hyperinflation. None of this would be there. But it needed to be there because people want to make money and their investments. These people have 43 trillions that they invest every year. And they demand a minimum of 3 to 6% return. This is what is killing the world. That greed. And if we don't come together and challenge this particular model, then we'll all be destroyed. Some of us would starve to death, some of us would burn to death, but hey, you now need to listen what I've said, question. No need to believe, go and question. The answers are all there. It's clear for you all to see. I shall return with another program discussing religion and its impact. I mean, let's say the first enslaver, which we will just run by. Everyone will go, oh, well, the British... No. The first enslaver was the Spaniards. With their headache from, their bull from the Pope. Yes, the Spaniards and the Portuguese. Yes. England come later. And then the French and the Dutch. Yes. And these people, you can see what they've done. So, have a look. You know what I mean? As I'll tell you before, said, the first major drug seller on the planet was the British government that sell drugs to China, opium. Yeah, and that's where when America goes anywhere, it's either oil or drugs, right? Whether it's cocaine or opium, right? Yeah, you have a look and you'll see, right? And the next other big drug seller was the French government, yes. And they still have that drug running thing, you know, run through Sicily and Corsica. Yes, it's still there, that route. Yes, so have a little think, people. Thank you for listening and good night. If you want to contact us, I'm here. My name's Paul. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to point you in the direction of finding knowledge. Because knowing is better than believe or ignorance. You should know and not believe. Thank you and good night.